ידיד נפש, אב הרחמן, משוכב דם, רצונו, ירוץ עבדו, כמו היה, ישתחווה, אל מול העולם, ירב לו ידידותיו, מנוף וצוף וחוטב, ירב לו ידידותיו, מנוף וצוף וחוטב. פרוס חביב עליי את סוכת שלום תאיר ארץ מקודך נגילה היי ונשמחה מהר אהוב כי במועד בכל עיני קימי עולם מהר אהוב כי במועד בכל עיני קימי עולם
אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, ידעי טוב, הנה מה טוב, ידעי, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, ידעי, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב, ידעי,
How good it is to be together tonight. Ooh, and you can see the sun is already coming through here in the Beit HaTefilah. We gather tonight as complex human beings, capable of holding so many different emotions. We experience and feel relief as another week has ended and Shabbat is finally here. We feel elation as tonight we celebrate our confirmands, those young people in our Temple Emmanuel and Beth El communities who affirm and continue their Jewish identities and their Jewish involvement way beyond their B'nai Mitzvah. We feel excitement as tonight we gather with Rabbis Alex and Amy Greenbaum and our many friends at Beth El as they join us in prayer, and we demonstrate immense gratitude to the scientists, the doctors, the supply chain professionals, the volunteers who allow us all to gather in person, God willing, soon. And this evening, we feel a heavy and sad and brokenness within ourselves as we brace for another night of conflict in Israel. Shalom Yerushalayim, Yishlayu Ohavayich. Pray for the well-being of Jerusalem. May those who love you be at peace, we read in Psalm 122. We may be shocked at news reports and social media punditry that cast aspersions while missing the nuances and complexities of the situation. We may feel anger that our family and friends are living in fear, or that cynical politicians are exacerbating a situation for their own gain. We may feel sadness for the loss of life. And whatever we pray for this evening, we pray for those who have been injured and whose families have been torn apart by grief. Israelis and their Palestinian neighbors tonight balance on the precipice of a volcano, and we pray that together they might take a step back. God, may you be with those in positions of leadership, giving them the strength and the heart to distinguish between enemy and friend, between people of wickedness and our siblings in Abraham. We who watch feel helpless. Sometimes we feel hopeless. And yet we lean into our prayers this night that all might pause, that might step back in your honor, O God. As we continue with this new setting of Psalm 148, we do so slowly at first, mindful of the weight we carry this Shabbat, yet we continue to grow louder, continue to increase in yearning as we pray that God might take notice of all people in this troubled world.
השמיים, הלו בעולים, הלו כל מלאכיו, הלו כל צבאיו, הלו שמש ירח, הלו כל כוכבי אור, הלו שמי השמיים, המים Hashem Hashemayim, Hallelujah, Hallelujah, Hallelujah. יעלו את שם אדוני כי הוא ציווה ונבראו ויעמדם לעולם חוב נתן ולא יעבור יעלו את שם אדוני כאילו ציווה ודיראו ויעמדם לעולם חוב נתן ולא יעבור
How wonderful it is to be together this evening, sharing Shabbat and rejoicing with and honoring our confirmands. May they always know the strength and joy our tradition holds. And as we light the Sabbath candles, may our hearts be lifted and our spirits refreshed.
بركتها أرمي الحين ملكها الشاكشان بمفتها في السبان نهارنا شعر الشباب
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Friday night services begin with the part of the service called Kabbalat Shabbat, Lechad Odi by 18 doors. The first part of the service consists of prayers written with words from the Book of Psalms and medieval poetry. A group of Jewish mystics, the Kabbalists, who lived in Sfat in northern Israel in the 16th century, 500 years ago, created the Kabbalat Shabbat service. They would speak of Shabbat as both a queen and a bride. And so, right before sunset, these rabbis would dress in white and declare, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, come, let us go out to greet the Sabbath queen. A poem we still sing in the synagogue or on Zoom, called Lecha Dodi, Come My Beloved, was composed by Rabbi Solomon Halevi Locketz. The first line is Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabbalah. Beloved, come to meet the bride. Beloved, come to greet Shabbat. The last verse of Lecha Dodi has similar imagery to the start of a wedding. As guests eagerly await the groom and bride, in some synagogues, congregants will rise and turn to face the entrance of the synagogue during the last verse. People imagine they are greeting the Shabbat bride by bowing to the left and the right. Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabbalah Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabbalah וזכור בדבר אחד אישתי אנו אל עם אחד העולם אחד ושמו אחד לשם לתפארת ולתהילה Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabbalah Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Nekabbalah Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor habracha מראש מקדם נסוכה סופה מסיר בלק שבת חילה לכדותי לקד כלה אלה שבת לכדותי לקד כלה אלה שבת
Joining us this evening for our Shabbat services are members of our confirmation classes from last year, from 2020, and from this year, 2021. These amazing young people will be leading us in prayer, sharing their reflections about this milestone in their Jewish lives, and reading the Ten Commandments, the traditional Torah reading for the holiday of Shavuot, which we will celebrate Sunday night and Monday.
In our second grade Torah Center class, we were taught that we were all made in the image of God. In the years since, we are often reminded of this concept. Of all that I have learned in religious school, this has stuck with me the most. The idea that we are just people living life and going through struggles helps bring perspective and connections to everyone I meet. It makes the world feel brighter and warmer despite all of our differences. There are, of course, instances where people don't realize this, forget it, and act out of feelings like anger. When these situations arise, it is important that we stand up for anyone who might be hurt or need our help. This is a trait that I have learned from Judaism. The need to stand up for others is something that I have noticed throughout the Jewish community and even in myself. Partly why I have decided to stay in religious school through confirmation is because of this teaching. The Jewish community cares deeply for others because we understand what it's like to go through tough times and we can see different perspectives. The concept of empathy brings people together as a community, and I believe that if we were all a little bit more empathetic, the world will be a kinder place.
We turn to page 26 for Chatzi Kaddish, the prayer that leads us into the next part of our service. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach rotev yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael, bagala, uv'izman kariv, v'meru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam lo me'almaya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shmei dekudesha brichu, le'la min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiran Bialma, Vimeru, Amen.
Lai, 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 lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach HaMevorach Le'olam Ba'ed HaMevorach Le'olam Ba'ed.
We pray that we might know before whom we stand the power whose gift is life, who quickens those who have forgotten how to live. We pray for the winds to disperse the choking air of sadness, for cleansing rains to make parched hopes flower, and to give all of us the strength to rise up toward the sun. We pray for love to encompass us, for no other reason save that we are human. For love through which we may all blossom into persons who have gained power over our own lives. We pray to stand upright, we fallen, to be healed, we sufferers. We pray to break the bonds that keep us from the world of beauty. We pray for opened eyes, we who are blind to our own authentic selves. We pray that we may walk in the garden of a purposeful life, our own powers in touch with the power of the world. Praised be the God whose gift is life, whose cleansing rains let parched men and women flower toward the sun.
In all honesty, the only reason I continued my Jewish education was because my grandma wanted me to. And every week I would dread it because I thought it would be boring and awkward. But by the end of the call, I would feel differently. I'd gotten to talk about and reflect on my life, my morals, and those of Judaism. The questions we were all asked challenged us in what we thought and allowed us to expand our knowledge and see new perspectives. And when I would get on the phone with my grandma and tell her all about what I learned and what we talked about, I realized just how important the experience had been. I hope that I will continue my Jewish education in the years to come and to have my thoughts and beliefs challenged.
We are about to sing the Shema together, sharing our love for God. And this is one of my favorite times in the service, as I invite each of us to think of someone very special to us, whether it be a parent, a friend, or a child, a teacher, someone that you love very much. And I invite you to feel that love and that warmth and hold it inside of us as we sing the Shema together.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha v'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha Uvlevtecha v'aderech, u'shochbecha uvkumecha, u'kshartam leot al yadecha, lehayu letotafod bein einecha, u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. Leman tiskeru ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'yitem kedoshim leloheihem. Ani Adonai Eloheihem, Asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, Leot lahem Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohim.
Redemption by Mark Nazimova. The Israelites walked into the Reed Sea 1 foot at a time. What were they thinking about as the water rose up their legs, chilling their hearts, advancing toward their open mouths? We continue to walk here now, 1 foot at a time. On our better days, forward. Alone, I cannot reach the far shore without drowning. Somehow I don't go under. The person to my right holds me up. Something I cannot see holds them up. Blessed is the source of help, so often unexpected. I step forward, the sea is vast. Blessed are you, gracious one, for your miracles that greet us every day. Baruch atah Adonai, anisecha shebechol yom imanu.
Kamocha, Vayalim Adonai, Kamocha, Nedava Kodesh, Norati Lord, Oh Sefele, Norati Lord, Oh Sefele, Bim Bam Bam Bim Bim Bam, Bim Bam Bam Bim Bam, Bim Bam Bam Bim Bim Bam. Bam bam bam, Mahavuka, Rabu Vanecha, Bokeyayam, Nemoshe Miriam, Zeheyeli, Anu ve'amru, Adonai lo, Leolam Ba'el, Bam bam bim bim bam, bam bam bim bam. Bam bam bim bim bam, bam bam bim bam, ya lai 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 lai, ya lai lai bim bam, ya lai 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 lai, ya bam bam bim bam.
The Hashkivenu prayer allows us to ask God to watch over us, to guard us, and to spread over us God's sheltering presence of peace. For it is within this sacred place that we reach out to God and to each other.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu B'Shalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu L'Shalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu L'Shalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu L'Shalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. Ushmor Seftenu, Uvoheinu L'Chaim Shalom, Me'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu L'Shalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu L'Shalom, Hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim.
I'm happy to have continued my Jewish education through my confirmation. This past year was very different, but I got lots of conversations with the rabbis, and we talked about things such as Israeli politics, impacts of the pandemic, and struggles within the United States. It was a great opportunity to talk with the rabbis, and I'm glad I was able to do it. Judaism is important to me, not only because it is part of my identity, because also of the great experiences and friends I have made along the way. Because of my connection and dedication to Judaism, I have been able to have opportunities such as going to Camp Harlem and going to Israel this summer and next. Thank you to the rabbis and all the people who have helped me with my education, and I hope to continue my Jewish education throughout my life.
We give thanks for this beautiful sunshine. We give thanks for the beauty of Shabbat. We give thanks that Shabbat is finally here, as we continue with words of Vishamru, page 44.
וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ידי נפש, שבת ידי נפש. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורתם ברית עולם. וישמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת בדורתם ברית עולם.
It was important to me to continue on with my confirmation because being Jewish is an important part of my identity. It is another connection for me to experience life. It provides me with a connection to my Jewish friends, Jewish ancestors, and Jewish people who are well known for what they have accomplished. Knowing how much the Jewish people have overcome reminds me that I too can overcome adversity. Especially in these recent times of change, it is critical to stand for those who are in the minority. My connection to Judaism inspires me to do my best and represent the good in people.
We continue with the Amidah, the central part of our service, on page 46. As it is known as the standing prayer, I invite you to stand in the spaces where you are if you would like to, or to lift your spirits and stand within as we raise our hearts and our voices in praise to God.
Adonai, Sifetai Tiftach, Ufiyati Letega. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. You're the lie, lie, lie. 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 You're the lie, lie, lie.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imutenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor Van El Elyon.
Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zoher Haste Avot V'imahot, Umevi Gula Livnei B'nehem, Lema'on Shemo V'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah.
Tagi bor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atarav l'hoshia, morid hatahal, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim v'rofech oholim, umatir asurim, Umekaye memunato lishanei afar michamocha ba'al givurot umido malach melech memit umechaye umatzmiach Yeshua v'nemanu tal hachayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yechalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot.
We are about to sing Shalom Rav, and this prayer prays that God will grant true and lasting peace to the land of Israel and to all who live on this earth. As the wave of violence continues to engulf Israel, our minds and our hearts are filled with thoughts and prayers for a more peaceful time. And last night, the Masorti movement, which is the conservative movement in Israel, held a Seeking Repair program in which different rabbis shared what their communities were going through, and they were providing a place for prayer and support and introspection. And one of the rabbis' comments really struck me, and I'd like to share them with you tonight. It was a Rabbi Sigalit Or from Moshav Shorashim, and she wrote the following: Life of Jews and Arabs in the Galilee is intertwined like a piece of embroidery. For 20 years, the level of integration has risen. There are Jewish and Arab workers together in kindergarten, in the infirmaries, and in our council. However, the current reality is very confusing and unsettling because we are used to visiting each other's houses and villages, and suddenly we think about it twice, maybe out of fear or perhaps due to a sense of discomfort. It feels like the rug has been pulled out from under our feet, and there is a sense of mourning. Because since October 2000, webs of friendship have been woven and are now torn apart. We will once again have to work to return to the community we've worked so hard to build and to create that existed here only 1 week ago. I had just returned from a protest at the main junction, which was organized within hours, and I saw many people from the area, Jews and Arabs, in white clothes with flowers in their hands, providing mutual support. This is a statement, despite the storm around us, that we do not forget that we live together and the fabric of coexistence will continue. Our lives will not be good if our neighbors' lives are bad. At this point, I ask each of us to open our hearts to all of those in Israel as we sing, praying for peace together.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol eid u'v'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Why Confirmation is on Shavuot by rj.org. Confirmation is a Reform-originated ceremony for teens that is tied to the Jewish holiday of Shavuot. It constitutes an individual and group affirmation of commitment to the Jewish people. Confirmation, one of the youngest Jewish life cycle ceremonies, began less than 200 years ago. Most scholars attribute the creation of confirmation to Israel Jacobson, a wealthy German businessman and nominal founder of Reform Judaism. In 1810, expending more than $100,000 of his own money, Jacobson built a new synagogue in Germany. He introduced a number of then radical reforms, including the use of an organ and a mixed male-female seating. Jacobson felt that bar mitzvah was an outdated ceremony. Accordingly, when 5 13-year-old boys were about to graduate from the school he maintained, Jacobson designed a new graduation ceremony, held in the school rather than in the synagogue. In this manner, confirmation came into being. At first, only boys were confirmed, usually on the Shabbat of their bar mitzvah. Because of the controversial nature of the confirmation ceremony, the earliest rituals were held exclusively in homes and in schools. In 1817, the synagogue in Berlin introduced a separate confirmation program for girls. In 1822, the first class of boys and girls was confirmed, a practice that became almost universal in a relatively brief period of time. In 1831, Rabbi Samuel Eggers of Brunswick, Germany, determined to hold confirmation on Shavuot, the festival of the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. Shavuot provided the natural connection to the idea of transmitting Torah, which is the widely accepted practice today. Why confirmation is on Shavuot.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam va'ed, Baruch ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, ve'natan lanu et ha'torato, Baruch ata Adonai noten ha'torah.
Vaydaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ela lemor. Anohi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzetiha me'eretz Mitzrayim מבית עבדים לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי.
לא תעשה לך
vesel, v'chol timuna, asher bashamayim mima'al, ve'asher ba'aretz mitachat, ve'asher b'mayim mitachat la'aretz. Lo tishtachaveh lahem, v'lo tovdim, ki anochi Adonai Elohecha Elkanah Poked Avon Avot Al Banim Ashleshim Ve'al Rebaim Lisona Ve'aseh Chesed Lalafim Lo Havai V'Shomrei Mitzvotai
Lo tisa et Shem Adonai Elohecha lashav. Ki lo yanachta Adonai et asher yisa et shemo lashav. Zachor et yom hashabbat lekodsho. Sheshet yamim tavod ve'asita kol melachtecha.
Vayom hashvi'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha lo ta'aseh kol melacha ata v'beinecha uvtecha avdecha v'metecha uvhemtecha v'garecha asher b'sharecha ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai את השמיים ואת הארץ, את היום ואת כל אשר בם, וינח ביום השביעי. על כן ברכה אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו.
כבד את אביך ואת אמך, למען יאריכון ימיך על האדמה, אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך. לא תרצח, לא תנאף, לא תגנוב, לא תענוב ערך ואת שקר, לא תחמוד בין יריך, לא תחמוד אשר יריך, וביתו בניך, ועבדו ומותו, ושרו ומורו, וכל אשר לרעך.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Eliana and Rachel and Ty and Aidan and Harrison and Myer and Sadie and Doran and all of the 10th and 11th graders who affirm and continue their Jewish journeys but couldn't be here with us tonight. Wow. This is not the confirmation year or years that we might have hoped for. Perhaps we should all get together again in our own little Zoom boxes for the iconic confirmation picture to hang in the wall where we're trapped in those little boxes. Sort of, watch out for that email in the coming days. Because it's not what I want to remember from this year. While undoubtedly we felt stuck at times, trapped in our own homes and indeed in our own little boxes, it's your ability to think outside of the box that made this year possible. You fought through the challenges to have some amazing discussions with Rabbi Alex and me. You served as madrichim in a year quite unlike no other. You planned and participated in Jewish teen events. You stayed connected with camp and with Diller friends. And you connected with your Jewish identity in all new ways. And we didn't even have to bribe you with pizza to make that happen. Your ability to adapt, to push, to learn, to grow, even in less than ideal circumstances, will surely serve you well and is perhaps the perfect illustration of a Jewish ethos. Students of Jewish history such as yourselves realize that there have been so many ups and downs throughout our people's history that the timeline looks a little bit more like a roller coaster. Yet through it all, our tradition and its adherents have adapted. They've grown. They've held on to that which was most important while making accommodations for the challenges life throws at us. It's a lot more words than Rabbi Alex and I used every time we were together. But that's what we were talking about. You've chosen to continue your relationship with the Jewish community, sometimes with a grandmotherly foot on your tuchus, and sometimes of your own volition. And you continue to make Judaism yours. May you continue to reach, to learn, to discern, to grow, God willing, in easier times, as you affirm your commitment to the Jewish tradition, to those commandments you read so beautifully this evening as Temple Emmanuel and Beth El confirmands. Mazal Tov, congratulations to each of you, and we are so excited to see what comes next.
Mazel tov to our confirmands. It's been exciting to be working with you online during these past couple of years and in the years prior during your time in our religious schools and communities. All the best to you as you move on to the next stage of your Jewish journey, and we all look forward to celebrating that with you. We turn now to our Misha Beirach prayer on page 253. Our prayer for those who are in need of healing. We think of all those in our families, in our communities, in our homes, across the sea, near and far. Perhaps we're thinking of ourselves, all of us, all of those, everyone who is in need of healing. Perhaps you want to share their names in the comments below the video. Perhaps you want to say their names out loud. Perhaps you want to keep them within your heart as you hold them dear. We pray that God will grant to each of them and to each of us a refuah shlema, a healing not only of body, but of spirit as well.
Bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imoteinu mekor habracha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We turn now to the Aleinu, and this prayer reminds us to recognize and acknowledge God's presence in our world. And this is a lovely message to take with us. We're towards the end of the service, and we are about to head into Shabbat, our day of rest. And it's just a lovely message that we can focus on our recognizing our blessings and acknowledging all the wonderful things in our lives.
Aleinu l'shabek l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה לצהב ראשית, שלא עשנו לכגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגואלנו ככל העולם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn now to the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, as on this Shabbat we in our Temple Emmanuel family observe the period of Shloshim for Robin Gordon Minutello and Robert Shore. We mark the yahrzeits of David Avner, Lillian Gould Ballin, I. Alec Brand, Zola Bremen, Morris Boudin, Ruth Chambers, Ira Ehrenrich, Harriet Friedman, Lawrence H. Ginsberg, Ray Ginsberg, Milton Goldberg, Paul Gusky, Marie Herman, Alan Jacobson, Sam Kirschenbaum, Irving Kiss, Seymour C. Lehman, Sophia Leaf, Charles J. Linder, Mervyn Mallet, Samuel Mirar, Lillian Mitchell, Esther Newman, Joseph Reznikoff, Barry Ruse, Miriam Rosen, B. Rosenberg, Louis P. Rosenberg, Jeanette B. Roth, Gloria Rothberg, Selma Ruttenberg, Rachel Shapiro, Herman Turian, Bruce H. Watson, Rose Weinstock, Norman L. Weissman.
And this week we also remember Victor Everbaugh, Irving Blickstein, Sarah Freudenheim, Beulah Goldfein, Bertha Goodfriend, Lena Hare, Richard Harrop, Joseph Polinaire, Nathan Tabor, Philippe Amarillo, Paul Blatter, Aidan Markowitz, Francis Saltzman Nussbaum, Anna M. Scala, Irving Weiner, Sylvan Arnold Elpern, Fanny Berkowitz, Jacob Joseph Bickerman, Robin Braun, Jack L. Davidson, Teresa Dezen, Sarah Feig, Philip Foley Friedman, Sidney Himmelblau, Leon Paul Katz, Judith Kaufman, Paul Lipsman, Doris Mednick, Ethel Perlman, Gladys Wall, Jacob Bredin, Howard Cohen, Helen Dreyer, Alexander Aaron Ginden, Lucille Glickman, Harry Greenfield, Isidore Rosenberg, Eugene Schreiber, Michael Cohn, Marianne Lebovitz, Doris Lindenbaum, Tilly Roman, Irving Shapiro, Max Silverstein, Judah Burbakel, Sylvia Schwartz-Gerson, Anna Hoffman, Nathan Silver, Beulah Supovitz, Gladys Tabachnik, J. Herman Weiss, Chaim Whitland, William Young, Abraham Burnsweig, Israel Gross, Fred Mataba, Manny Myers, Seal Monheim, Robert Pollack, Aaron Roth, and Hyman Weiner. Mourners and those observing Yortzeit, page 294 in Aramaic and in transliteration, a mourner's Kaddish for Kabbalat Shabbat. Yit Gadol v'yit Kadash Shamei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bialma Divra Chirutei V'yamlich Malchutei. B'chayechon Uv'yomechon Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala Uv'izman Kariv V'imru. Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Omei Almaya.
Yitbarach Yishtabach Yitpa'ar Yitromam Yitnaseh Yitadar Yitalev Yithalal Shmeid Kudashah Brichu Leila Minkol Berchata V'shirata Toshbechata v'nechamata. Damiran bi'alma ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shamaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael ve'imru.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm so grateful to the many people who helped to make this evening service possible, to our friends, Rabbi Alex and Amy at Beth El. Thank you, to your wonderful community for joining us, not only for this service, but for our joint high school and confirmation programs. It is a pleasure that enriches our community as we hope it does yours. Rabbi Jessica Locketz, Tim Brogdon, thank you, as well as everyone who is with us for this amazing service as we celebrate our 2021 and our 2020 confirmands. To each of you who are with us and are a young person, may you aspire to the heights that our confirmands have reached, continuing to be involved in Jewish community, continuing to push, to learn, to grow. And it's our pleasure to ask upon you now one of the greatest blessings in our tradition from perhaps next week's Torah portion. In the book of Numbers, we recite words of the priestly blessing not only on you, but all in need in this troubled world this evening.
Yavrechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai pnav Elecha v'yichunecha Yisa Adonai panav elecha V'yasem lecha shalom V'yasem lecha shalom V'yasem lecha shalom V'yasem lecha shalom Yavrechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai pnav elecha v'yichunecha Yisa Adonai panav elecha V'yasem lecha shalom V'yasem lecha shalom V'yasem lecha shalom V'yasem lecha shalom Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom 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 v'yasem lecha shalom